Now the question is, do we call this a pot coffee, Ibrik, or Turkish coffee? In 2013, UNESCO included the Turkish coffee in the list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity because of its uniqueness that recognizes the differentiality of this coffee, which has nothing to do with its ancestors, Jebena, the Ethiopian ceremony, and Dala, the Arabic coffee. We will mention about this coffee in another video, but the question is, which one is the best device to make Turkish coffee? The best relevant to whom? Coffee is a personal preference. Also the methods and the devices. It has to do with the space you have, the money you have, and the time you have. The induction hob, gas stove, electric pot, and the sand heater. Before I analyze its method, I have to tell you what are the basic principles for Turkish coffee. The quality of water is a very critical parameter for any coffee, but especially for Turkish coffee. The majority takes the pot, goes to the top, fill it up with water. The water is chlorinated and most times is cold. Cold water doesn't help the sediments to absorb water and sink, which is the ideal. Filtering jug is a very good solution because first of all filters the water, and second has always room temperature. That means that you always start with the same temperature, no matter the method, no matter the coffee you choose. Another important parameter is the coffee to water ratio. We don't just take a spoon and try to fill up the pot. Spoon definitely is not the right utensil to measure the coffee or the sugar, because as you can see, each time I take coffee has a different portion. With Turkish coffee, which is ground very fine, it's very difficult to have the same portion each time we use the spoon. Therefore, you have to find a measuring spoon that fits the right portion according to the water you use. An ideal ratio is 1 to 10. That means 1 part of coffee for 10 parts of water. So you definitely need to know the capacity of your cup in order to calculate the amount of coffee you're about to use. As you can see, I'm using a cup that has a capacity of 70 ml. Therefore, I will add 7 grams of coffee. Don't make the mistake and use the same measuring spoon for the sugar, because sugar has totally different density than coffee. That means that the same measuring spoon has almost double the weight of the Turkish coffee. The same grams of sugar, you have a medium sweetness. Double that amount, you have a sweet coffee. The last critical parameter is what we do after we put all the ingredients in the pot, any pot of any method we use. The grinding size of Turkish coffee that looks like a powder forces the coffee to create clumps when it enters the water. If you leave it as it is, the coffee particles will not get wet evenly, therefore will not sink, and they're not going to give you all the flavors from the coffee. So the ideal is to use a stir to stir the coffee. I see many people using a spoon after they use it to fill up the pot. Then they stir. Spoon cannot stir anything, even coffee. Even if you don't have the right utensil to stir the coffee, it's better you use a fork. Don't laugh. It's a good solution. Trust me. But stay on the surface and you will see that all the clumps break and then the coffee sink. If you're using an induction hob, try not to use a stainless steel pot because it has very high conductivity and it will boil the coffee very fast. Therefore, you will not get all the flavor from the coffee, and probably the crema of the coffee will not look very nice, as you're going to see when we do a slow boil to the coffee. Since the heat source is at the bottom and the coffee goes at the bottom, it's better you stir the whole time until you see the coffee bubbling on the edge of the pot. Then you stop, let the coffee rest. When you see crema is getting created on the surface, then you can stop the procedure and serve the coffee. Depending on the gas stove you have, the flame will surround the pot or not. In case the flame has a distance, has the same principle as the induction hob, therefore you need to follow the same process. If your flame is very close to the pot and surrounds the pot, then you can do a slow boil. In that case, you don't need to stir the whole time. You stir only at the beginning and then you let the coffee rest and wait until you see the crema. If you want to reduce the strength of the flavor of your coffee, when you see the first boil, you take it out, you bounce it on your bench, and you continue that procedure, bounce it on the bench, put it back again, as many times as you want, until you see the crema disappears, and that will reduce the strength of your coffee, which again is a matter of preference. I prefer crema in my coffee. There are people that they don't like it, they find it very heavy, therefore you can break it. It's up to you. The electric pot has a huge advantage. It's stopped by itself. However, I came to the conclusion that because the bottom of the pot is very wide, if you put the ingredients for a single Turkish coffee, everything is happening very fast and the coffee doesn't have the time to boil. The slower you boil, the better it is. Therefore, I always choose to make a double coffee, or I make 2 coffees and I share the pleasure with a friend. You add the ingredients, stir, put it back, and once you press the button, you can go for your breakfast. When the coffee is ready, the device will start blinking and also will give you a sound signal. Therefore, you take the pot out and you serve the coffee. Probably you watched that far to find out how we can use the sun heater. Trust me, it's worth to wait, because the coffee I'm about to make is going to be the best. Until a few years ago, it was impossible to have a sun heater at home because they were big and the energy consumption was very high. But eventually they managed to make a home sun heater, which besides the small size and the elegant design, has only 600 watt. But what really makes that device so unique is the special treated quartz sand they use. This special sand has very high conductivity. When it gets warm, keeps the temperature for a very long period. That means that the energy you use is very low and you can surround the pot fully, so you slow boil your coffee. I always try to put first the pot inside the sun, because if I put all the ingredients in the pot and try to bury it on the sun, I might spill out water and coffee. Therefore, I put the pot first, I add water, coffee and sugar, stir as I do in any other method, and cover the whole pot with the special sand. When you slow boil the coffee, gives you more flavors comparing with all the other methods we explained so far. As you can see, the crema is very thick, and you will see it as I'm going to serve the coffee. You can just enjoy the coffee, or you can enjoy it traditionally with the fruit preserve and cold water. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to register. Press the bell to get noticed for any new videos. See you soon.